So in this video, I wanted to discuss reasons not to, or why you may not want to use your debit card. So debit cards are essentially a card that you get from the bank, and that it allows you to use money that you have in the bank. So if you've got 2,000 Rand, you can use 2,000 Rand. You can swipe for 2,000 Rand of that money. So it doesn't give you any lines of credit, and it allows you to be able to carry this card and to use this card for payment rather than carrying cash around, right? So that's the difference between a credit card, because a credit card allows you to spend money that is sort of like a line of credit. So the bank will give you maybe credit for 20,000 Rand, so you can swipe up to 20,000 Rand. So some of the disadvantages of using a debit card is that there is no credit score improvement. So unlike a credit card where you are given a line of credit and you're able to swipe up to a certain point, and depending on the money coming in, it then shows on your credit report to say, okay, this person's credit is like this. But because it's a debit card, you can only use money that's available. Like, you can only use the money that you have in that account. It doesn't improve your credit score at all. And they also tend to have daily limits. So credit, like debit cards, tend to have daily limits, and this may not be ideal for large purchases. I do think that this is possibly because it's a debit card, and maybe if you've got like 2,000 Rand in your card, it helps to say maybe if someone takes it and swipes, you are protected because there's a limit on it. But yeah, it does have like a daily limit, and it may not be ideal for making large purchases. The transaction costs for debit cards can be expensive, so that's something else to think about as well. The ATM fees, if you're using an ATM that's not affiliated with the bank, then you may be charged the ATM transaction fee. So that's another thing to think about. So there's a transaction cost, which can be expensive, and also the ATM fees as well. And the next thing to also think about with a debit card is like fraud. So someone can take your card, and if they've got access to your PIN and your information, they can just literally wipe you out as well and take all of your money from your card. So that's also something to think about. I think with that, it's sort of like, I would think like, instead of having 2,000 Rand on your person, you have it in the bank. So someone, if you're carrying cash, it's sort of kind of risky as well, because it can be stolen from you, and it's taken from you and it's gone, right? And a debit card is sort of the same thing as well. So it can happen as well with a credit card, but that's also just something to think about when you're using a debit card. Credit cards tend to have some kind of a fraud protection when someone is using a credit card. Debit cards, I don't think they have that. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they have that. So credit card has that benefit, that it has like that fraud protection from the bank. But credit is also not for everybody. I know some people don't like credit at all. They'd rather spend the money that they have in the bank, and they don't want to have a credit card at all. So that's also another note to think about. And the last thing is also overseas fees. So there may be charges for overseas transactions if you use a debit card overseas. So that's something to think about. Debit cards, I think, are useful and are good if you are maybe a student, if you don't want any credit, if you want to use that debit card for like savings purposes, then I think it's a good thing to have. But I think if you want to do large purchases, then maybe a credit card is better. Or if you don't want to pay interest, then you can use your debit card. And also remember the fraud protection that the credit card has as opposed to a debit card. So depending on who you are and what you want, then it also just depends on the kind of card that you want to use. But I would use a debit card for like savings for small amounts, and to just use it on the go. And then I'll choose the credit card for bigger purchases or something like that, or points, or to increase my credit score and things like that. So yeah, I hope this video has been helpful, and I hope that you will find insight as well. This is for information purposes only, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you, guys.